welcome back. Time to talk about WWE. And, this was the last Raw before Judgment Day, and I gotta say, I was somewhat disappointed in the show itself as to what had happened, although I thought there were a couple of high points to the show. Number one was that opening segment with William Regal and John Cena. I thought that was a very good opening segment. Of course, it had been a long time since, it felt like a long time since John Cena had last been on Raw, and he and Randy Orton in the main event that night, which ended up, the match, I felt a little disappointed, especially with the ending, with JBL getting involved, but you had to expect that because, well, John Cena's going to face JBL. I'll talk about that in a little bit in the Judgment Day report. Another thing that caught my eye, very interesting, was the unfortunate breakup of Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch. In my opinion, one of the most underrated tag teams in the history of wrestling. That's how good of a team I felt they were. But, not all tag teams can stay together forever, unfortunately, and Cade and Murdoch were one of those. Hopefully there's a nice little feud coming up on the way there. Santino Marella and Carlito went for the World Tag Team titles against Holly and Rhodes. Personally, to me, I felt this match should have been at the pay-per-view because I think since Holly and Rhodes have won the title, I don't think they've defended that title on pay-per-view, which is very sad when especially a tag team like John Morrison and The Miz have defended the belts on pay-per-view in the past. So it's a little disappointing, but there really aren't a lot of teams on the Raw brand that can challenge or that can even make a good, pay-per-view match with Rhodes and Holly. But I think Carlito and Marella would have been that one exception to that rule, and then you would have tried to figure out, well, who can we put in to challenge Marella and Carlito for the gold. That's about it. I mean, other than that, I felt a bit disappointed. The last Raw before Judgment Day, and you can't really deliver, especially with Orton and Triple H. Triple H was not involved in the show until the very end, but I do have to say the best segment this week on Raw was Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels. The way that went with the whole HBK faking the knee injury, is he not? That's actually been the best storyline going on Raw in the last couple of weeks. But to me, the best storyline in WWE right now has to be Undertaker and Edge, and I felt that was a little bit of a very good twist when Vicky stripped Undertaker of the gold, and that's just so even though WWE had a bad Raw this past week, I think WWE as a general is starting to pick up their momentum like they were, and this is sort of reminding me of back in the late 90s when WWE was starting to pick up that momentum, and then they had that 4 or 5 year period where they were really, really good. So maybe depending on the right people, WWE could hit that 4 or 5 year mark period again. So on that note, let's go to the Judgment Day report. It is this Sunday night. It is live on pay-per-view. Of course, starting time is 8 p.m. If you do not have pay-per-view capabilities, you can watch it on WWE.com. Go to that website for more information. Now, the main event is inside of a steel cage for the WWE Championship. Triple H defends the gold against Randy Orton. The WWE Tag Team Championship will be on the line as The Miz and John Morrison defend the gold against ECW Champion Kane and CM Punk. Undertaker and Edge will fight for the vacant World Heavyweight title. The women's gold is on the line in a triple threat match. Mickie James defends the gold against Beth Phoenix and Melina. Now, I just want to say something. And I wish I had done the show last week, but it was for good reasons why I didn't. But I just want to say, with the Mickie James Beth Phoenix match, it's about damn time that somebody used that Titantron to their advantage to see somebody from behind trying to attack them. I mean, they've had that thing for, what, 10 years now? And somebody finally used that? Very good, Mickie James. Just for that, you should be in the Hall of Fame. Just for that. Other action, JBL against John Cena and Chris Jericho against Shawn Michaels. That is a non-title match, but there's 4 championship bouts at the Judgment Day pay-per-view, which, if you consider, the last pay-per-view is pretty good. 4 title matches on a pay-per-view like Judgment Day. When I come back, TNA and Ring of Honor, and I'll give you my review of the show from Manassas.